Hey, good morning, everyone. It's the 17th of March, 2021. It's about 8:06 in the morning, pretty early in the morning today. It's Wednesday, and for those in the Insured Plus, you all know what that means. But today, what I'd like to do is I'd like to kind of take a look at our good friend Bitcoin. I want to take a look at NASDAQ and the S&P. But what I really want to do this morning is I want to dig into the Bitcoin count because there's some changes to what we were discussing yesterday. So we've been looking through a couple scenarios, and I want to take a look at that. And I'm going to be making some adjustments to my count here. So before I get into any of this, of course, as you all know, this is not financial advice. I'm not your financial advisor. You're responsible for your own trades, managing your own risk, doing your own research. I'm just giving my opinion on the market. So let's go ahead and move into the charts. All right. So here's the same chart that we've been looking at for quite a while now. My red count that I have on here, which is, the A, B, C, is looking more and more likely. So I had a 1, 2 on here, right? So I've got 5, 3, and then we had 5 waves up, which I believed at the time was going to be a wave 3, and not a wave B, right? So a 1, 2, 3, which potentially would now be looking more and more like an A, B, C. And then we go down from here, and we actually are looking more and more likely to hit this bullish invalidation and continue going lower. But I want to talk about how we get there, right? So this is going to be key for how we get there. All right. So first off, I'm going to remove this guy because it's looking less and less likely that that's the scenario. So I'm going to go ahead and change the label to this guy to an A, B, C. And actually, I'm not sure. So Lilo on the server had brought up something, and I'm not sure that this is actually going to be an ABC down here into the C. We're going to have to wait, see how things go. But really, what he's looking at for this wave C is really he's looking for this as a 5, 3, 5, which I guess potentially could be that ABC. But it's looking more and more likely that this is what's going to happen. I don't know if we're going to find ourselves all the way down here. Now, if you recall previously, I had our wave 4 all the way over here, and looking at the larger structure on the way up, we had a really quick 1, 2, and then I had the 3 up here, and then the pullback. But I'm not so sure that that's the whole scenario of what's happening here. This is looking more and more like an expanded flat in a larger degree. So I'm going to have to dig in a little bit and kind of go back for the larger picture. But let's dig in right over here, right? So let's just talk about what we were looking at yesterday. So when we were looking at this yesterday, we were taking a look at this as a potential inverted head and shoulders, and I said at the time, I'm like, I don't like head and shoulders because they're wrong more than they're right. And we had a breakout, we had a good little retest here, but we came right back, and now we're back under this trend line, which leads me to believe there is a valid channel in here. So this is what I'm going to do. First, I'm going to try and find the channel after I try and identify how we can come back up to about 58K before we end up going lower. So first things first, what we've got here is, again, we've been talking about this, a 1, I think the 1 is actually here, and then A, B, C here into the 2, 3, A, B, C into the 4, and then we go down here into the 5. 5, and then I believe we had an A, B, C here. All right, so on a lower degree, of course I'll have to change the degree on this guy, but I think we've got an A. I think we're going to come back down here to about 54,000. I think we're going to come down here to the 786. I've already measured this, right? So I've got the low here and I've got the high here. We come down 78.6% of that move potentially before we end up going higher here again on a lower degree. I'm going to change the color on this guy as well to keep everything matching. Okay, so I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 into the A, B, C, and again, this is going to go up here to about 58,000, 58,100, somewhere in that range, and that's going to finish the B. And so I've got a couple things here that I've measured. All right, so I've measured this wave A, and then I'm using this guy over here. I've measured wave A coming back down here to the 786. All right, so we pull back to the 786. And from there, we do look like we have a potential to come back up here, finish this wave B. Now, is there any more significance here? So we've got the negative 236 here of this move. And then also we have the 100% if we do pivot here at 54,000. And just by the way, I'll just go ahead and state that I did get stopped out of my long position. So I was long from down here on Bybit. It was 53,649. I moved my stop to 54,650 to give myself about $1,000 profit there. So I got stopped out, right around here in this range, and currently the prices are lower. I'm actually looking to get back in down here to about 54,000 because I want to catch this move up here if this is good, if this is what's going to happen. And again, it looks like we've got a 1 or an A, B, C, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It looks like we want to pivot down here. So I'm going to try and push through this because I want to be able to capture the trade if this does happen to work out. So catching a trade here, stopping, at the bottom of this guy seems to be a good setup here. Seems to be a good setup. But at any rate, catching this down here, pulling it up to about 58K could work out. But then I'd be looking actually to short. So I had the box up here. I'm actually going to move it down here. This is that area where I'm seeing good potential for a short position now. Let me take my fib retracement, take it from the bottom, and I'm doing this backwards. All right, I got to practice what I preach here. All right, starting at the top, right there, pulling this guy down here to the bottom. What else do we have in that range? All right, so first off, we've got the 50 right here. We've got the 618 right there, and we're sitting right in the middle of this, right? So we've got the negative 236 at 58.2. The 618 is at 58.3, 58.4, right? So if we push up and through that just a little bit, that would make a whole lot of sense to get that rejection there at that 618. Seems logical. Then our downside target is going to be, we're going to take this guy a step further here. Now this is all in a perfect world, right? So I'm going to try and measure something that doesn't exist yet. So we have this top, and then we come down here to this bottom, which is going to be in confluence with this guy right here. Okay, so we're going to put him right there. And then if we get up here to that 618, we're going to be looking for that wave C. We're going to be looking for this. I'm going to zoom out now, and actually I'm going to go to a 30-minute just so that the candles are a little better looking here. So we've got, here we go, looking at the whole structure, we've got A, so 3, 3, 1, 2, then we're going to go down for 3, 4, 5. So I am going to be looking for this guy to come down here to probably about 45 to 46K. That's where I'm looking for that wave C to go. So right down here, there's lots of confluence there that's potentially where this is going to be going. And I think it looks good. I think it looks good. So we've got this 5, 3, and I don't know if this is going to be an A, B, C, but it looks like it's more likely going to be a 5, 3, 5, 3, 5 to find itself down here even further. Actually, it looks like we are already seeing that bounce there at the 786. So I may have missed that, but we'll get it. We'll get another opportunity, I'm sure. So it looks like this is potentially what's going to be happening. This would take us all the way down here, but now let's do one more measurement. And I know I've got a lot of measurements over there, so let me go ahead and clear this off, clear these guys off just to keep the chart a little bit clearer. Now that we know where that red box is coming from, I'm going to measure the A up to the B. And again, this is going to be a measurement of the top right here, all the way over here. That's where this top is. Going down here to this guy, down here. So let's go ahead and put him over to the side right there, and all the way up here to the top, and right there you have it. Our 100% is sitting right there at 45,500. So more and more, this is actually looking like this is not going to be an ABC, but I believe this is actually what Lilo was saying. We go down in 5 waves. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And again, I was talking about late March to early April, and this is looking more and more like the scenario. that we come down here to the 100%, which we see quite often. So this is looking pretty good. This is looking actually really, really nice. Okay, so I said that I was going to take a look for a channel here because I do believe there is an important channel down here in this range. So I'm going to see if I can find it because I've got a good pivot right here. So we've got a pivot here, pivot here, pivot here, pivot here, and then we found some more resistance there. So I want to see if I can try and find the channel. So I'm going to use my fib channel here, and I'm going to put this guy right there at the top, and we're going to pull him down to about right there. And I'm going to pull him out. Let's see here. This looks like it's it. So we have some resistance here, got some support here. We pushed through, we got to the next zone, we found some support above that trend line. We had some resistance there. So actually I think this is going to be basically our channel. So we need to get above this in order to realize this target up here. And I do think we're going to find ourselves up at this target eventually. But moving ourselves down, let's just see what we've got down here. Yeah, so right there, this is looking like where we are probably going to be heading. Let me go to the hourly and see if we can find the time for that. So we're looking at about March 25th. If we stay in this channel, like that's a big if, right? So if we stay in this channel, it looks like this is potentially where we're going to go. Come all the way down here, find yourself right back up here, and then we come down. So we would be seeing a move up, again up here to potentially 58, all the way down here to about 47, find some consolidation, bearish consolidation, then we go down here for wave C, which again potentially would be this wave 4 over here. We could have something going on a larger time frame, so we'll have to kind of wait and see how this goes. And I'm going to dig into this. I'm not going to waste your time trying to dig in a count on the larger scale. But this is looking like an expanded flat, and which means that when this happens, and again, late March, early April, I've had this here since, I want to say February. I've had this on here for a while, and you can go back and take a look at my videos from old if you'd like to, but it looks like this is what's going to happen. So how is that going to correlate to traditional markets? Well, let's just take a look and see what we've got going on here. Do we have an expanded flat on the S&P? I mean, there's a good possibility that we do, right? So we were making all-time highs. We were talking about prices going higher, right? Up to, 400, 402. I did say that we would get a stop on this side of 400, and it looks like that may be what is happening here on the S&P as well. So I'm going to be a little cautious here. All right, so let me just clear this all out. I'm going to clear this all out here. So from this 4, so we've got a 1, and then potentially an A, B, C. This would go out so far. So based on what I see here, I don't think we've got the same thing going on here on the S&P. I don't think we've got the same count. Now, the markets may move in the same direction, but I don't believe it's going to be as extreme on the S&P as we're talking about on Bitcoin. We're talking about Bitcoin going back under 50, but the S&P, I still think that this looks okay. So I can't ignore this guy right here. Okay, I can't ignore this. This looks too much like a diagonal. All right, that looks too much like a diagonal. So potentially an ending diagonal here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I believe that that is, of course, on a lower degree. Right? I think that's going to be a wave 1. Wave 1, 2, and then I think we're working on that wave 3, 4, 5 still. So I guess, my bias is still about the same. Even though things are looking a little droopy this morning, um, I don't think it's anything to be overly cautious about. I still think that we're going to see higher prices. I still think that the S&P is going to move up, potentially still taking ourselves back up there to that 400 to 405 level. I still think that we're going to get some resistance here on this side of 400. So yeah, yeah, I still think that this is in the cards based on what I can see here. So potentially this is a 1, 2, and then we're working on the 1, 2, and maybe we do go higher. Maybe we do go higher. Um, I'm not overly bearish on the S&P like I am on Bitcoin right now, but also keep in mind, I was still saying that Bitcoin has potential to go up to 58 still. So that would mean that the S&P can make its way up to about 400 over the next few days here still, but maybe even before the end of the week. It's possible that we end this week very strong. Let's take a look at NASDAQ. NASDAQ again has been pretty droopy, and so far, right, so we had the top here. So far so good. We're at this zone where I kind of expected there to be a little bit of a drop, and also to find some support. So I haven't changed this. So this is still pretty valid. So I still think this is a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 completion of a wave 1, right? This is still looking valid. This still looks okay. Still think we come down here for wave 2. Again, I'm waiting patiently. I'm waiting patiently. Sure, you can probably scalp along today. Scalp along. But I'm waiting for this guy to come down here to this 382, right? I'm going to make this change right here, right now. Right here, that 382 is what I will be looking at to catch along on wave 2 to go up to wave 3, right? These are some of the best trades to take on the pullback, right? This pullback isn't done. The amount of time it took to go up to wave 1 means that we're going to take at least half the amount of time to complete wave 2. So I don't usually do this, but let's just take a look at the time of this. Okay, so I'm going to measure this wave 1 right here. All right, so let's look at 1.5. All right, so I've got 1.5 on there. That's going to be this right here. So half the amount of time is going to take you right here. Actually, is that right? Hold on. Yeah, 382, 1.5, 1.618. So let's do this. Let's do 1.5 and 2. So this is going to be half the amount of time that wave 1 took. This is going to be twice the amount, or this is going to be exactly the amount of time that wave 1 took, because we're measuring the amount of time it took for wave 1 to complete. So half the amount of time would take us here to March 21st, right? So maybe we pull this back here, March 21st. So that's what's that going to be, Monday? Yeah, so Sunday night, Monday morning, more than likely is when we're going to get that drop, right? So again, we're going to see a push up, and then we'll get that drop. And this is where, again, this is where I'm interested in taking a long position on NASDAQ. And again, I've said this before, I'm going to say it again. I think NASDAQ has more upside potential than Dow Jones or the S&P. So a lot of people are losing faith in NASDAQ because it hasn't been performing as well compared to the S&P, right? It hasn't been comparing as well compared to the S&P. So let me see if I can do this for you guys. So let me see if I can throw in NDX. We're going to throw the index on here. And I'm going to change my layout here. I'm going to actually go to a line chart. And I'm going to compare this against the S&P. Compare it against SPX, and I'm also going to compare it against DJI, Dow Jones. All right. So how are we comparing here? All right. So let's zoom out. We're taking a look at the 2-hour. Let's actually look at the daily. Take a look at the daily. All right. So what we've got here. Make sure that I've got this here. All right. So we've got the blue, which is NASDAQ. We've got the S&P, which is right here, and we have Dow Jones, which is back here. Now, this is going all the way back through March. I don't want to take a look at March. What I actually want to take a look at is, and maybe I should go to a 4-hour time frame here. I want to take a look, not from all the way back in September. I want to take a look from the peak. So this is going to be from February 12th. Let's see if I can get this right. Here we go. This is looking a little better. I'm actually going to go to an hourly. I think it's going to make a little more sense. You're going to see the contrast here back up here at the peak, February 12th. Let me collapse this guy. All right, this is a great illustration. All right, so we've got this pegged back to February 12th, those highs. Take a look at this. All right, this is just a great example. All right, so we have Dow Jones, which has been doing fantastic. The S&P, which is still right up there, S&P is up 0.37%. Dow Jones is up over 1 or 2%, right? But look at Nasdaq. It's still down 5%. It's still down 5%. While these two indexes were making new highs, Nasdaq is still down 5%. So, again, I'm going to say it again. I believe Nasdaq has more upside potential. I believe that Nasdaq has more upside potential than Dow Jones or the S&P as of today. As of today. And going down to the lows, let's go ahead and go down to the lows here, right there. Okay, that was our lows. You know, Nasdaq has been performing a little bit better, right, from the lows because it corrected further than the rest, right? Even though Dow Jones is making new highs, from the lows, Nasdaq has been doing better, right? We had Nasdaq fell deeper, but over here on March 11th, it actually performed very well. And then here it fell back deeper, but and it's been doing very well. So again, this is proof that that I was right, that Nasdaq is performing better than the other two indexes, even though the other two indexes have been making all-time highs. When that correction was done, Nasdaq has been performing better, and I believe that it's going to continue to outpace. From the lows back on the 7th of March, yeah, the 5th of March. Nasdaq's up 7.5%. Dow Jones is only up 6.61%. S&P is only up 6.11%. So even though these two indexes have been making highs, Nasdaq has actually been performing better since that correction was completed back on the 5th of March. All right, so just a couple things for you guys to chew on. I just wanted to point that out. I'm going to go ahead and end the video here. If this video did help in any way, shape, or form, of course, as you all know, like, subscribe, share, all that good stuff. And of course, if you need access to our Discord, there's a link in the video description. And wherever you're in the world, I hope you're having a good day, a good night, and a good evening. Take care, everyone.